Dr. James JC Cooley. That's right. It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James JC Cooley. All right.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer.
Yeah. Dr. James JC Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and we got an absolutely powerful show coming your way today. We got this guest that's going to inspire us, educate us, and give us knowledge on a topic that we have not talked about on my show in 7 years. And so I'm looking forward to this discussion with this young man that's doing great things out there. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is can Olympics extend your life? But primarily, what we're going to talk about is longevity. How can people live longer? How can they understand some of the things that is required to make that happen? And just get an education of what that means. So we got have a sit-down conversation with this absolutely great guy that I was talking to in the green room. His name is Brent, or Franson. And let me tell you, it's a sit-down conversation with founder and CEO of Death Clock, the most downloaded longevity and app globally. We also going to talk about GPS-1 medications with Ozempic, best known for weight loss, but there are growing interest in their potential use for other different methods by using this particular drug. We're going to talk about some research and clinicals are beginning to explore microdosing. I don't know what that is, but we will, as a way to extend lifespan. Additionally, we're going to talk about how are these drugs being looked at in the context of aging. And we all are aging every day. So, but what do current trends suggest about their long-term uses? So our guest today is Brent Franson, is the founder and CEO of Death Clock, the most downloaded longevity app globally. Death Clock was named a tech that would change your life in 2025 by Wall Street Journal and had been featured in Bloomberg, Newsweek, New York Post, Daily, plenty other organizations and news networks has featured this in. But I tell you what, this is what I want to do. I want to bring to the stage our absolutely fantastic guest, Brent Franson. Welcome to Brent. How you doing? How you doing, man?
I'm well. Good to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure having you on because this is something that Michelle and I had not talked about on our show in the last 7 years. So, first of all, Brent, can you tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit more about you, where you grew up, what made you click, why you're so passionate about helping folks, and a little bit about some of the things that you have been doing?
Yeah, so I'm the founder and CEO of Death Clock. Death Clock is an app. I mean, the basic description is that we tell you when you're going to die and then help you live longer. We built an AI that we trained on 1,200 longevity studies to predict, based on your lifestyle, your habits, behavior, how long you're going to live, and it predicts an exact date. But more importantly, what we've done is we've built an AI that takes all that information, also predicts how much longer you can live if you're just proactively managing your health. So recommend supplements, cancer screenings, a whole bunch of other things to help you live longer. I grew up in Boulder, Colorado. I'm the oldest of four. And the reason I'm so passionate about longevity and about what we're doing is because I grew up just surrounded by a lot of addiction, like so many of us. And in addiction, it's really clear that we're on our own. Our healthcare system isn't really set up to help with addiction. And it's not set up to help with a lot of things that involve behavior change. So the things that we do or don't do most days, if you're struggling with addiction, you need to stop doing those things to help your life and start doing a different set of things. And so I didn't want to focus my career. I'm a technologist. I'm just a Silicon Valley venture-backed technologist, meaning venture capitalists give us money to try to build these businesses and solve these big problems. I didn't want to focus on addiction. And so I knew after my last company that I wanted to devote my life to helping people understand how they need to live their lives so they can be a little bit healthier and happier, because we've got a healthcare system that's very reactive. It's not good at helping people preventatively. Once we're sick, it's there for us and it's good. But prior to that, it's not very helpful. We're on our own. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Wow. I like the fact that you said that you focus your attention on helping others right now. Did you have an aha moment one day, because you're big time in the tech world, and say, hey, I'm going to push away from this right now and focus on other things?
I mean, the aha moment was for me. I'm somebody who it's hard for me to do the right things every day to be healthy and be happy. So if I'm not really paying attention to it, my preference would be to have a few beers every night, to eat the food that's not healthy, to stay up too late, and do things that ultimately are taking away from my life rather than building me up. And so I've long been fascinated by systems and by strategies for identifying how I can do things that really help me, that make it easier for me to be healthy and happy. And so as I've figured that out for myself and for my own life, I've just wanted to help other people do the same thing. And so I really want to marry my work as a technologist with something that I'm passionate about personally. I'm passionate about for myself, and I enjoy helping other people.
So we talked about the title of the show, Can Ozempic Extend Your Life? But really the deep thing that we're going to talk about is extending your life. But can you tell our viewers and our listeners what evidence currently exists linking GLP-1 receptors augmented like Ozempic to increase lifespan or health spans?
Yeah. So GLP-1s like Ozempic and Wegovy, basically what they're doing is they're mimicking a hormone that's naturally released in the gut in response to food. And what this hormone does is it increases insulin secretion. It decreases glucagon release, which normally would raise blood sugar. It helps us control our appetite, a bunch of other things that are basically good for our metabolic systems. And so when we think about GLP-1s, we think about the regulation of blood sugar in order to have a healthy metabolic system and to keep our blood sugar down. If your blood sugar goes too high, you can get type 2 diabetes. And so GLP-1s are good at helping us regulate blood sugar. They're also good at helping control cravings and control appetite, which is why their primary use is in the context of weight loss. They've shown remarkable results in helping people lose weight who have otherwise struggled to lose weight. But it seems they have a systemic impact, which is why they're being used for longevity. So they're increasingly being used by people who are not struggling with obesity or being overweight, but who say, hey, I think GLP-1s can help make me healthier and therefore live longer. And so they'll do it as a microdose, which that just means a small dose of what you might take if you were prescribed Ozempic, let's say, for weight loss. So one is that metabolic health. It's to basically bring down blood sugar, control appetite. That's good whether or not you're overweight. Number two is it's shown that it can lower inflammatory markers. So there's something called C-reactive protein that's measured. You can just get a blood test and you get something called HSCRP, high sensitivity C-reactive protein. And that's an indicator of inflammation, chronic inflammation that's happening internally. So these GLP-1s like Ozempic, it seems that it can bring down inflammation at the body. And the less inflammation that you have, the healthier your heart is, the healthier you are metabolically. There are a whole bunch of other benefits. The healthier you are in terms of reduction of risk of Alzheimer's and dementia. And then the third is cardiovascular protection. It seems that these GLP-1s lower risk of heart attack, stroke, a whole bunch of cardiovascular benefits. And so for these reasons, people are experimenting. It's important to say that with GLP-1s for longevity. It's still very early. We really don't know a lot about the long-term effects, and there are some side effects of these GLP-1s.
Wow. It's we're going to take a station break, but we're going to come back because we're going to dive deeper into this. And tell you what, whichever platform that you're watching this on, whether you watch this on E36 Television, Transfer TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble, and other over 80 other platforms. Welcome to the show. If you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do, just go to the comments on whichever platform that you're watching this on. Ask the question. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life. And we'll see you shortly after the break.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michelle Cooley. Heart disease research saves lives. It's that simple. Thanks to medical advancements funded by the American Heart Association, more women are surviving heart attacks, strokes, and other cardiovascular diseases than ever before. But there's still so much work to do.
Hi, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and I'm raising funds to support life-saving research because every heartbeat is worth fighting for. In honor of Women's History Month, please join me in support of the American Heart Association and women's health.
Welcome to Veridian Christian University, where faith and learning come together to transform lives. At VCU, we believe that education is more than just academics. It's about fostering a community of growth, integrity, and purpose. Whether you're pursuing a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, VCU offers flexible, affordable, and 100% online degree programs that cater to your busy life. Our innovative platform provides a personalized learning experience, empowering you to thrive in today's ever-evolving world. Join a global community of learners guided by an experienced faculty who are committed to your success. With VCU, you're not just earning a degree, you're preparing for a future that integrates faith, leadership, and service. Veridian Christian University, educating with purpose, transforming lives. Learn more at VeridianChristianUniversity.com. VeridianChristianUniversity.com.
Welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, first segment, blown away. We got so much more coming your way, and I tell you what, we always invite or engage in the audience. So, if you want to be part of this conversation, whichever platform that you're watching us on, go to the comments, ask any questions that you might have. I'm sure Brent will get you an answer. Brent, so we left off at there are risks associated with GLP-1s. Can you talk about some of those risks and why do people engage in terms of weight loss, this and that? Why can there be other things that could help them without using a lot of drugs like this?
Well, I think the main reason that people are using them is because just changing behavior without the help of something like a GLP-1 is really hard. If you are somebody who is overweight, it's not like you want to be overweight or you enjoy being overweight. You want to change, but it's very hard to change the way that you eat, change the way that you exercise, change calorie intake. That's very difficult. And if you are overweight or obese, you're probably at a genetic disadvantage. It's not your fault. So it's very difficult to make those changes. And GLP-1s, they make it easier. But there are a whole bunch of caveats here. There is risk of muscle loss. And so you don't, again, you would always want to talk to your doctor about this stuff. I'm not a doctor. You'd want to, there's risk of muscle loss. And so what that means is you have to be strength training while you're taking a GLP-1. So you've got to pair these things with diet and exercise changes. There is some concern of bone loss as well. And then there's just unknown long-term effects. They're relatively new. We don't have long-term studies that show the impact. And so particularly in longevity, it's very much in the experimental phase.
So you mentioned GLP-1s. What are some mechanisms which may affect the process, like autophagy or micro or chronic function? And I think those are the key factors in longevity. So how would you explain that to our viewers and our listeners?
Well, I think basically what you're talking about is autophagy. And what autophagy is really your body's way of cleaning out damaged cells and regenerating newer and healthier ones. And so, there's some evidence that GLP-1s can indirectly promote autophagy by improving your metabolic markers. That's still unclear. And so I think I think what's missing in the conversation around GLP-1s for longevity is people tend to focus too much on the magic bullets in longevity and not enough on the basics. The things that matter most for longevity are going to be sleep, diet, exercise, making sure you're on top of your cancer screenings. I think if you are totally nailing all of those things and you're in perfect shape and your sleep is perfect and your diet's perfect, okay, fine. Then you can start thinking about whether or not GLP-1s have an impact on autophagy. But until that point, and most people will never reach that point, I would not be thinking about microdosing with GLP-1s or or their impact on autophagy.
So you mentioned microdosing. Can you explain to our audience what exactly is that?
It's just taking a small dose of something. So it's been happening more recently in the context of psychedelics. People will take small doses of something like psilocybin, which would be known as mushrooms for different mental health issues. The same thing is true of GLP-1s. If you say, hey, I want to have a limited effect, a smaller effect, which also gives you smaller side effects. And then GLP-1s like Ozempic and Wegovy, they're expensive. So it also gives you a limited cost if you're taking just a fraction of a full dose. And so because people in longevity are not using these drugs for weight loss, they tend to microdose them because they want a smaller impact, they want smaller side effects, smaller set of side effects, and they want a lower cost.
What would you tell the viewers out there that are probably taking this, some of the major risks and taking more than what's prescribed because they want to lose whatever that is faster? What are some of the advice would you give them that might not be a good idea or that is a good idea?
Just be honest with your doctor about whatever you're doing. I mean, you're going to be prescribed a certain amount for a reason. And so you want to be really clear with your doctor. If you're taking more than you're prescribed, you're going to want to talk to your doctor about these. There are side effects to GLP-1s. You need to be pairing them again with all of the standard changes that everybody's tired of hearing about. We're tired of hearing about how we've got to eat well, we've got to exercise, we've got to focus on our sleep. But we hear about those things over and over again for a reason. They really, really matter. And then particularly here, because of the risk of muscle loss, if you're not doing strength training, you're really taking some considerable risk if you're taking these and not doing strength training. So if you're taking more than you're prescribed, chat with your doctor about that. I would advise against it.
Yeah, you mentioned strength training and physical activities. For the people out there that just think that just by taking this, not doing anything to help and not eating right, what would you tell them could possibly happen? Would they lose anything or would they just wait on the medicine to do what it have to do, but not gain a whole lot of benefits from anything else?
Yeah, I think the risk of not pairing these is that you rebound. So you're either going to be taking these drugs forever or you come off of them and you haven't changed anything about your lifestyle and you rebound. And so you want to think about them as a tool to help you in the process of changing your lifestyle, changing what you eat, changing how often you physically exercise. But there are no free rides. There are no silver bullets. And these are breakthroughs in terms of their ability to help with the epidemic we have around obesity. We've got 70% of people in the US are overweight, and being overweight is very unhealthy. No matter what we may tell ourselves. I think we need to be very accepting of people who are overweight, but it is a lie to say that it's just as healthy as not being overweight. And so you really want to focus on making the necessary long-term sustainable changes so you're not taking these drugs forever.
Since these two that you name are very popular, there is a many off-label uh, folks are trying to imitate this, imitate the effect of what was prescribed, but it's not the real thing. What would you tell the viewers out there that say, hey, I'm going to take a shortcut? I'm not going to get Ozempic and I'm not going to get Wegovy, but this right here is doing the same thing. What are some of the risks in people taking off-label prescription that says that it does the same thing as the popular one does?
Yeah, I mean, the use of GLP-1s for longevity is off-label, meaning it's not approved by the FDA for longevity. And so that's where you're in this experimental category. And it's the same thing for weight loss in people who are not obese. That would be considered off-label. Diabetes prevention would be considered off-label. And so, it's clear that it shows some benefits in those areas. I would just be very careful, and I'd be doing it in close coordination with a doctor, because as soon as you're doing something, you're using a drug for a reason that it wasn't approved for by the FDA. We've got this very rigorous approval process in the FDA for new drugs that are put onto the market for a very good reason. We don't need to be worried about the medications that we take because of that rigorous approval process. And so when you're off label, you're outside of the kind of safety zone of the FDA approval. You just need to be working with a doc who knows what they're doing, monitoring your biomarkers really closely. That just needs to be done with a doctor. You don't want to be out just being a cowboy with these things on your own. Our biologies are very complicated. So are these compounds. And so off-label usage, very common in GLP-1s like Ozempic and Wegovy. It's just, you want to be careful.
So you mentioned microdosing several times, and even in the previous segment, also in here. And so are people microdosing GLP-1s primarily for weight maintenance, appetite regulations, or what other things are people utilizing the LPS1s to do?
Well, so people who are microdosing GLP-1s for longevity are very focused on optimizing their biomarkers. So your biomarkers are the measurements of basically what's happening in your blood. You go get a blood test and you get a bunch of results back, and those are going to be your biomarkers. And the biomarkers that we care most about, just in the context of anything, are biomarkers related to the health of your heart. So think about cholesterol, LDL, and HDL. They are going to be biomarkers that allow you to understand your metabolic health. So this would be things like blood glucose and A1C. Those are going to be measures of basically the amount of, it's a little bit more complicated than this, but just the amount of blood, the amount of sugar in your blood. And then biomarkers around inflammation. This is what we talked about with high sensitivity CRP, C-reactive protein. And what's clear is that these GLP-1s, they help improve those biomarkers. They bring down cholesterol. They bring down blood glucose. They bring down inflammation as measured by high sensitivity CRP, by C-reactive protein. And so, that's the main reason you're looking for biomarker optimization. You want your physiology to be as healthy as possible. And these drugs have a broad impact on improving those biomarkers. And so that's why people in longevity are taking them. They're taking them for benefits that are much outside just weight loss.
And listening to the news, it says that these GLP-1s are now going to be extended for a lot and lots of other reasons. We got about 2 minutes before the breaks. What are some of the things that are being researched up to my diseases that they are considering utilizing this for?
Yeah, I mean, they're being studied right now for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, stroke recovery. And so what's clear is that when your blood pressure is lower, when your cholesterol is lower, when your blood sugar is lower, you are at a lower risk for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, for stroke, for all these things. So there is a connection between all of these biomarkers and your risk for neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's. And so there's some sense that if they help with these biomarkers that we know impact our risk of something like Alzheimer's, then maybe these drugs can be helpful for Alzheimer's as well. So it's still in the very early stages of that kind of research, but that's, there might be some promise there.
Wow. Tell you, we got to take a station break. A very intriguing conversation. I'm looking at the numbers. If you want to be part of this conversation, whichever platform that you're on, all you have to do is just go to the comments. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you, Brent will get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
Dr. James, JC, Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I'm sitting here with Brent, and we're talking about longevity. I mean, things that can help increase our life expectancy, also things that can help us adjust some of the things, some of the illnesses that we might be having, that there is a fix to those things, but it had to be done the right way. Just like we're talking about GLP-1s and just taking certain medicine alone without doing the other things like exercise and eating right. This helps out a little bit, but you won't get the full effect of if you combine all of those three things and especially get an understanding. So Brent is here educating you. I mean, this young man right here is extraordinary, educating on some of the things that we should consider doing. And I want to pick it back up with that, Brent. So.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think in the context of longevity, again, 90% of the battle is going to be sleep, diet, exercise. But the second piece that you're going to want to pay attention to are your screenings. And so this is going to be, primarily cancer screenings, but colon screens starting in your 40s. Colonoscopy recommendation is at 45, but you can do colon screening starting in your 40s. This is going to be cervical screenings, breast screenings, in addition to just knowing your biomarkers. And so I wouldn't get too caught up on GLP-1s and their ability to improve your longevity. Again, if you're not in a place where your sleep, diet, exercise is fully optimized and you're on top of your cancer screenings, it's going to be skin screening as well. So the screenings are a very important piece. There's also a heart screening called a CCTA or a CT scan for calcium that you want to be on top of. But these are going to be far more important than microdosing GLP-1s for longevity.
Wow. So, Brent, how does intermittent fasting, strength training, sleep hygienes compared to microsurgical interventions? How does that help in slowing the aging process and also assisting a person and to become better fit and to get an understanding of their bodies?
Yeah, so all of these things, so intermittent fasting, there's a whole bunch of research to suggest that it's helpful, and there's a bunch of research to suggest that it's not. But on diet, the advice that you want to pay attention to, the best diet advice that exists is a famous quote from Michael Pollan, which is eat food, mostly plants, not too much. And so what that means, eat food, means avoid processed food. Ideally it's something that you might find at the farmer's market, a fresh, cut of local meat, some local greens, etc. Think what you might find at the farmer's market as food. So eat food. And then mostly plants. We need a lot of greens. We don't love to eat them. Put them at the beginning of your meal. So put your salad course basically right at the front of the meal when you're hungriest, and don't allow yourself to get to the rest of the meal until you've completed it. So that's the mostly plants. And then not too much. We just tend to overeat. We eat way too much. And so the not too much is about portions. But there's a whole bunch of controversy around intermittent fasting and different types of diet. And I think you can kind of ignore most of it and try to reduce processed food, eat food, mostly plants. Try to get full on plants before you start your main, and then just not too much. Limit your portions. That would be on diet.
Most people are gravitating to this Mediterranean diet. Can you explain to our viewers and listeners if that's healthy, or is that's what they need to be focused on, or etc.?
Yeah, so the Mediterranean diet is, so it comes from Greece, Italy, Spain. It emphasizes minimally processed foods. It's mostly plant-based. There's a moderate animal product, lots of fruits and veggies, lots of whole grains, lots of beans and nuts and olive oil. There's fish and seafood in that diet, some very moderate wine, some occasional eggs. And so think about, veggies and, veggies and seafood. You're going to feel pretty good if you're eating those things with a lot of nuts and olive oil. It's going to be really, that's going to be really helpful for you. So yeah, there's a lot of evidence to support the Mediterranean diet. But again, you want to do what works for you. Eat food, mostly plants, not too much, in a way that works for you.
Brent, so there are a lot of people, let's say they may not, besides dieting, they may not be able to afford the certain foods that are out there that other people may. So are there any, let's say, natural supplements or anything else they can do to get the benefits without, let's say, using this particular drug?
Yeah, well, to get the benefits of the drug. No, well, the drug it's naturally created. So GLPs it's a hormone that helps us regulate appetite and different things. And what happens is a GLP-1 is basically binding to that receptor, and it is increasing the results that you get from a hormone that we naturally have. And so imitating that is hard. I think one of the ways, though, that this all gets easier. So when we think about sleep, diet, and exercise, sleep is the most important. The reason high quality sleep, getting enough sleep and making sure that your sleep is high quality, is because it has an impact on diet and exercise. If we don't sleep well, we're going to be less likely to exercise. And if we don't sleep well, we're going to be less likely to eat well. And so the best thing we can do for ourselves is really prioritize our sleep. That means don't eat anything 4 hours before going to sleep. Go to bed at the same time every night, like within half an hour of the same time every night. Avoid alcohol, avoid coffee afternoon. You want to keep your meals light. You'll notice if you eat a lot of pizza or pasta or something that you're not going to sleep as well as when you have a diet that's like something that's like, think about meat and veggies. But if you focus on sleep, it makes diet and exercise easier, which GLP-1s do as well.
I totally agree with that, especially drinking a lot of water too. Yeah. Drinking lots of water is like, it's the best. And I do agree, 4 hours before you go to bed. But, you're looking at these commercials of, GLP products, whether it's celebrities or maybe influencers online promoting its benefits. In your opinion, could that be, let's say, deceiving to the potential user on how that might affect them? Because everyone's body is different.
The effects, I think, are pretty strong with GLP-1s. And so, look, in a perfect world, it would be easy for all of us to eat well and sleep well and exercise, and we wouldn't be surrounded by all of these terrible processed foods, and it would be really easy to get our activity in just, during our normal day-to-day lives like we used to. And so, but that perfect world doesn't exist. And so GLP-1s, I think, are a bit of a miracle drug for a lot of people who have tried to lose weight, who have tried to improve their health on their own and just haven't been able to do it. And so I think in a lot of cases, it's really helpful, and it's much better than these drugs not existing. So I think it's more about, if you're going to be using them, being well educated on what the side effects are, being under the care of a doctor and supervision of a doctor that you trust, because they are, they're not without their side effects. But we don't live in that perfect world. And I think these drugs can be a helpful bridge for a lot of people who have struggled to do this on their own without them.
Are using these particular GLP drugs, is it for long-term use? Let's say you use it and you lost the weight and, other benefits as well. Is this something for long-term use or for short-term until maybe you get to the goal and then you can try something else that will accommodate your lifestyle?
Hey, Dr. Cooler, hold that question. We got to take a station break. I don't want to get halfway through the answer and cut it off. So we're going to take a station break and come back. Michelle is going to ask that question again. I tell you what, whichever platform that you're watching us on, if you want to be part of this great conversation, all you have to do is go to the comments. That's any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
The future is here.
Now is the time to pursue the greatness in you. Welcome to Veridian Christian University, where faith meets future. We are a fully accredited, 100% online Christian university. We offer bachelor's degree, master's and doctorate degree programs, built for students like you. Affordable tuitions, 30+ degree programs, 100% online and flexible. Integrating faith with learning. Study from anywhere at your pace. At VCU, we do not just prepare you for a degree. We prepare you for purpose. Discover who you are. Grow in faith. And build a future that impacts the world.
Are you ready to start your journey today? Visit www.veridianchristianuniversity.com.
Apply.
A Black Man's Point of View is the newest Amazon.com #1 release and bestseller book from author Dr. James J.C. Cooley, featuring the perspective from 11 other contributing authors. In A Black Man's Point of View, Dr. James Cooley unpacks his thoughts and personal experiences about the challenges, stereotypes, and feelings of self-worth that many black men face today due to a 400-year ancestry rooted in slavery and colonization. Yet, how so many black men move forward despite this history. Most importantly, A Black Man's Point of View conveys that all men, regardless of race, creed, or color, are capable of love, respect, and dignity. Described as a map to a greater life from the heart of a man who's experienced life's misfortune and harsh conditions, James shows us how beliefs, convictions, and a healthy mentality can help propel a life worth living. A must-read for all. Order your copy of A Black Man's Point of View by author Dr. James J.C. Cooley today from Amazon.com or wherever books are sold.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you what, Brent, I'm sitting back absorbing all of this in because we all are affected in one way or another, whether we are utilizing GLP-1s or whether we're trying to get our life together in other ways. So this segment is going to be focused on some of the things that you and your companies are doing in order to get the word out and also help others, and talk about AI, talk about all of these other type of things. But before we go into that, Michelle, you had a question that you had asked, and I did not want to break that up prior to the break.
Thank you. So, Brent, in your research, has taken these drugs, GLP, is it mostly for long-term use? Let's say if a person achieves their weight goal, is education provided to them to maybe wean off of this particular drugs and maybe try something that will accommodate their lifestyle?
It's very complicated, actually. And so the FDA, they're approved for long-term use. And we've got studies that show that benefits, which is weight loss, improved biomarkers, they're maintained only with continual use. And so I think that's part of the complexity here. As you go from not taking something to taking something, you get the results that you want when you take it, but there's a very high risk that you lose those results when you stop taking it. And so that might be better than the alternative if you're not able to lose the weight anyways and over a long-term period of time, and maybe taking these and being healthier over a long period of time is better. But it's complicated. A lot of people are going to be taking them for a long time, and then there's the rebound effect. When you stop taking them, you might lose all of the results that you've gained.
Wow. So can you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about what you all are doing, your organizations and the people that you're teaming with to help educate, help control, and also what people can utilize tools that you guys are working on to help them understand just a lot better, and also help them get an understanding where that there's certain things that if you change in your life, it would benefit you.
Yeah, sure. And then just quickly on what happens when you get off of the drug. So one, most people regain the weight. So in clinical trials, 2/3 of the weight lost is regained within a year of stopping, because what happens is the appetite suppression and the metabolic effects are wearing off. Two, muscle loss can compound the problem. So if you lost weight too quickly and without strength training, you likely lost lean muscle mass, and so that can be concerning if you weren't strength training. And then your metabolic health might decline again. So all all of the lower blood sugar, lower blood pressure, your reduced triglycerides, ApoB, these things can reverse if your lifestyle changes haven't been locked in. And then there are reports that appetite rebounds stronger. And so you come off of these drugs and then you actually have a higher appetite for higher calorie food. So there are a whole lot of, it's just a rebound. Basically, you're going back to where you were when you get off of the drugs. In terms of how we're trying to help people, basically when you study how long people live, the top factor that determines how long you live is how much money you have, which is unfortunate. The top 1% live on average 15 years longer than the bottom 1%. And so there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. It's very complicated as to why that is. But the number one reason is you just have access to better medical care. And the basically people who have money are paying for private healthcare. They're getting private docs. And so what those private docs are able to do is they're able to give us much better preventative healthcare than our normal docs. So normal docs just don't have enough time. They have to see so many patients. They don't have enough time to really help us sleep, diet, exercise, all these things that we have to focus on for preventative health. And so what we're trying to do at Death Clock is we're trying to say, hey, in this post-AI era, where we now have access to all these AI tools, we want to help build AI at an affordable price for anybody that can kind of serve as their private doctor. So we're not a doctor, so we call it an AI Health Concierge, where you can put all your blood tests, your genetic data, all of your docs in one place. And then you've got an AI that's trained on your data to recommend supplements, medications, screenings, to help keep you on track doing the things that you need to do to be healthier and to be happier. So we start that by you answer 30 questions and we predict the day you're going to die. And then we also predict how much longer you can live if you, make some changes to your life. And then your AI builds a longevity plan to help you live longer. So that's what Death Clock is.
Hold on. I got to ask this question. Okay. So you put all of this and you guys do an evaluation and they predict the day that you're going to die. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah. So we trained an AI on 1,200 longevity studies. And through that process, we identified it's 29 questions that really matter to determining how long you're going to live. And that AI analyzes those 29 questions. You can go to Death Clock AI on the App Store or Android. You can download it. You can do it yourself. It's free. And the AI predicts the day you're going to die. Now, the day itself is wrong. We don't think it's the day itself is accurate, but we do think that the life expectancy prediction is the most accurate life expectancy prediction in the world. But what's more important is it's not set in stone. You can change it. So the AI then recommends all these things you can do to live longer, and it predicts how much longer you can live if you do those things. So for me, I'm predicted to die at 78. But if I make the changes, and I'm in the process of making them that the AI is recommending, I can make it till 92. I mean, that's a big difference. That's a 14-year difference. So we're really focused on helping people get that additional time.
Wow. So you saying that this is part of the app, and what's that app again? And Michelle, can you post that app so people can get this?
Yeah, it's Death Clock AI. The website is deathclock.co. But yeah, it's deathclock.ai on App Store or Android. But yeah, what it is, you answer 29 questions, and then the AI makes those 2 predictions. And then it builds a longevity plan that's personalized for you, based on your, what your habits are like today and how you're living your life today to help you live longer.
What would you tell people out there? I mean, we're gonna get a lot of traction on this one. What would you tell people out there that it's totally, you got to be honest. You have to be honest with the answers that you provide with the 29 questions.
Yeah, you're only lying to you're only going to affect your results. It's not like the results are, publicly available anywhere. But I think it's important, right? So what's more important than existing? what is death? The death is the end of existence. Now there might be some, depending on your religion, there might be a religious kind of, there might be an afterlife or a belief in afterlife. Okay, that's fine. But in terms of the life that we live today, life is beautiful and it's finite. And so
I had to interrupt you. Is it deathclock.com or deathclock.co?
Deathclock.co. Co.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it right.
Just wanted to make sure.
Okay. No problem. So, and then research shows that the more aware we are of our mortality, the healthier we are. And so what we're really trying to do is two things. We're trying to shake people and say, hey, life is short and life is really beautiful. So make sure to savor the time that you do have. Like every day is the only day you're ever going to get. Every hour is the only hour you're ever going to get. And when we recognize the finitude of life, I think it's easier to just soak up. I've got these little toddlers. I just soak up these little moments with them because I'm remembering how finite it is. And then B, remembering the finitude of life can help us be motivated to live longer. Like when I do the math on my living, I'm 43 to 78 versus 92. That's a huge difference in terms of how I'm there to support my kids, how many summers I'm getting, how many vacations I'm getting, like all of these awesome things that I can soak up in life. I'd just rather have 14 more years. I'd rather be there. I'm more likely to, meet the grandkids if I'm there till 92 than if I am at 78 and things like that. And so it's important that we're not in denial about the fact that, we all die and that life is finite. And in fact, it can be really helpful in helping us be more motivated to be we're
down to the last minute of the show, but I tell you what, Brent, I would love to have you back on, man. This is so exciting. I would love to have you back on. I think we got a quick question. Can you answer this in 30 seconds or less? Otherwise, we're going to sign off.
Yeah, it said, how often should we check the death clock? Because we can't predict everything we do every day. So what happens is at the center of the app is a live death clock. It takes your wearables data, anything that you've completed in your longevity plan, and it automatically updates that. So it gives you a real-time prediction of your trajectory.
Wow. I want to invite you back. This was so interesting. Now, I know that our audience is loving this. I'm loving this, and I'm going to have to put my information in as death clock. And Michelle put yours in there as well, but this has been an intriguing conversation. Hope you decide to come back. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another absolutely fantastic show. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and listeners out there for tuning in to the James Cooley Show Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every day, all over the country and all over the world. I want to leave you all with one thing. Always, always, always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. And also take in consideration this discussion. This was off the chain. It was great. So we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life, and we'll see you then.